It happened quick. He came towards me and I froze like a deer in headlights. Because just a moment ago, my dress was too short, and now it wasn't short enough. He introduced himself as Mr. Wilson. He had a cool appearance and was very patient with his teaching. My nervousness quickly disappeared and the class ended like a breeze. However, before he left, he gave us a warning on our school's dress code policy. "Next time, I want to see only knee-length shorts and no tank tops," he said. He pointed his fingers at me and told me that my t-shirt was too short. Although it was only a warning, if I hit 3 strikes, then I would be in for suspension. As days went by, I made sure to stick closely with Mr. Wilson's words. I didn't complain about his strictness with our outfits because I knew he was just following protocol. But just as I had finally gotten used to the dress code, the temperature was getting warmer. And it was during one summer morning that I had woken up late, and the only clothing I had that were clean in my room was a pair of shorts, which was a big no for our school. But with the clock ticking away, I knew I had no choice but to put it on. I wore a baggy t-shirt over it, hoping that no one would notice, but everybody still stared. Even though my best friend Lila had lent me her jacket to cover up, I saw Mr. Wilson walk in and I looked away instantly, chugging my water bottle for the 5th time in a row. The class went about normally, so I thought I would get past without getting caught. But then, Mr. Wilson snuck up on me. Tension filled the thick air before he signaled for everybody else to leave. In that moment, I knew I was busted. "What's under the jacket, miss?" he said to me with an irritated voice. Before I could even respond, his arms pulled the jacket away from my legs and said, "These shorts are above knee length. This is strike 2. My heart was now beating fast, and my breathing was hitched. I had nowhere to run, and I knew that I would be sent home to face my mom. I nervously looked up at him with tears in my eyes, expecting a look of anger. But instead, what I saw had left me confused. Mr. Wilson was smiling. Not just smiling, but grinning in a way that his eyes were lit up with excitement. Instead of telling me off, he stepped a little closer. My body ran cold. Millions of thoughts raced through my brain as he stepped another step closer, this time leaning into my ears and saying, "A pretty girl like you shouldn't have to cover up." My mind went into shock. Out of instinct, my body pulled away from him, but my mind was still reeling from what was happening. How I got out of the situation was a blur to me, but from the fragments of my memory, I was saved by the school bell. As soon as it rang, I could hear the footsteps of other students getting closer, so Mr. Wilson had to step away. I took this chance and sprinted off as fast as I could. I ran the entire hallway to find Lila. I dragged her into the girls' bathroom and told her everything that had just happened. At first, she thought I was being ridiculous, but when I stayed silent, still shaking, she realized I was telling the truth, while she hugged me tight. I was hit with sadness and finally broke down and cried. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't believe people like this actually existed. I knew I needed to do something. Days later, Lila suggested that I needed evidence so we could take the matter to the principal's office. In order to do that, I needed a voice record of him. So, the night before, I had carefully chosen my outfit, a flashy tank top and short pants. This could easily earn me a suspension, but it was the only thing that I could do to get a hold of him. So on that day, I had snuck my phone into my backpack and I was sitting in the front row right in the middle. The class felt like forever, and when it ended, I purposefully took my time packing up, waiting until every student was gone. And it was now just Mr. Wilson and I, alone, but I still managed to ask him about my outfit. I said to him confidently, so sure that I would be able to get proof this time, "Your attire is against our dress code policy, so this is strike 3. He spoke back to me with so much nerve that I was left completely shocked. Did he know about our plan? I stared at him with confusion, trying to read what was on his mind. He just smiled and asked me to leave his classroom. I struggled to find an excuse, so I walked out, feeling totally crushed. Our plan had failed. When I told Lila, she was just as shocked, but she said we should still storm the principal's office anyway. So we knocked on the door and told our principal about Mr. Wilson. As expected, he didn't believe us. He told us to bring proof to his table because apparently Mr. Wilson was one of the best teachers in the school with a record of 0 complaints. From that day onwards, Mr. Wilson never tried anything again, and I haven't been able to get proof of him. Yet, this doesn't mean that I have forgotten about what he has said to me. Every day, I pray for a chance for the world to see what kind of person he truly was. But for now, the only thing I could do to save myself is to stay close with the people that I love. I am grateful for my best friend for never leaving me, and I am still waiting for that day to come where people like Mr. Wilson will finally get the punishment that they deserve.